Hello and welcome to Garrett Farms. We are here with our very first episode of a Let's Play on Westby, Wisconsin. You may have caught my live stream a little while ago, and we tried to start out on this map, but we've been testing and playing around here a little bit for MB Farms and Tired Iron Modding, doing a little bit of I don't know, helping them sort out some bugs, especially with the multiplayer aspects and stuff, and the map is coming along nicely. And so for those that don't know, this is not yet released. It is coming soon, at least at the time of this recording. So hopefully it's going to get released soon. But it is set in a real-life location in Wisconsin, and I'm absolutely loving this map so far. The hills are amazing around here, the terrain in general, and we've got our farm set back up again here. I did live stream on this, and we have had to restart the map since that live stream, so I'm just kind of tooling around here in my truck. We've got a bunch of new mods that we're going to be trying out in this series. And unfortunately, we lost all of our progress from the live stream. And so I thought I would jump in the truck here and head on out and check out the fields and stuff that we've got around here and see what we can do to figure out what jobs we've got on the farm. We've got a couple of fields that are actually ready for planting. It is August here. We've got some sorghum here, which is going to be good for the animals. We've got a dairy barn as well as a beef cattle area, so we might be running some of both. We've got a lot of grass that we're going to be able to cut here, and so I'm excited to get started here. However, I think our first order of business is actually going to be to get kicked off with some harvest here. So let's head on back up to the farm. We've got a fair chunk of land here. In fact, maybe I should just bring up the map here. And you can see this is a large map. This is a 4X map, so it is only going to be available on PC. And we own this nice big stretch of land here, kind of in the east center part of the map. We've got a field over here that's actually set up as two fields because of the contours in fields 69 and 70. If I get rid of the purchase area, you can see it a little bit better here. And so we've got some untilled area and then the sorghum done in the strips here along the contours. We've got a field of what appears to be soybeans here in 71. 48 and 38 are both oats. We've got another unplowed field over here, and then I think the rest is grass. In fact, we turn on the grass. Indeed it is. We've got a lot of grass areas, which is good because we're going to be doing some dairy on this playthrough. If I go to the growth tab, it looks like both of our fields of oats are indeed ready for harvest, as well as our sorghum. So we're going to figure out what we're going to do with that. We'll probably start in on the oats. We also need to start cutting this grass as well, get some hay going. Maybe we'll do a little bit of haylage as well. We've got these two nice stave silos over here for making silage, and we've got a couple of bins here already set up. We've got the auger all backed up here. We're gonna come over here, and that's the equivalent of climbing up top to open up the bin door there. And so you can see now the bin is indeed open. We'll be able to put our crops into that, which is an awesome feature. And so I'm going to park our truck right on over here next to our big shed. We'll hop out and take a look here. We've got a few different pieces of equipment. We did go with a little bit older of a startup here. We got this awesome 12-row Case International planter that I want to try out. We've got a sprayer. This is a sprayer I actually used the first time I played through on Westby. This comes from Old School Farming Facebook group. We've got a 4955. This is going to be our tillage tractor. Nice beefy tractor for our farm. We've got a little gravity wagon here, which we're going to be using as our primary grain source. In fact, let's fire up our 4240. This is going to be kind of our all-purpose tractor here. This tractor has a special place in my heart because it is one of the pieces of equipment I drove the most when I worked on a real-life farm. So I'm really excited to get to see this mod back in Farm Sim 22. And we're going to use it to haul the gravity wagon here today, I think. And so I'm going to get this thing pulled out to the field. I know we've got a couple of oat fields here that we're going to be harvesting on. And so I want to go ahead and get this all set up and ready to go. Now, we are a bit new here still to our farm layout. I believe this place right up here is going to be the best spot to kind of get started on this field. So I'm going to try and put this gravity wagon somewhere that's not going to be in the way. Right in here should be good. We can kind of come down here and fill that up. And back in this large open shed, we've got a John Deere 6600 side hill. I did use this in the live stream that we did on this map a week or so ago, and I'm really excited. This has been an awesome mod to kind of play around with, and it's a perfect fit here on Westby because we have so many hills that we're going to be working with. So let's get this combine moving up here on this bigger field, and then we will afterwards move up into, I think it's field 38 that's up there on top of the hill, and tackle that as kind of a second pass. I'm gonna leave the straw swath down here on these oats. I think we may decide to try and use this straw in our animal production. We do have some special animal mechanics on this map, so I don't think we need it for mixing TMR at this point. I think instead we'll be using mineral feed for that, and we've got a grinder that's included in the map to do that from our grain crops. But we may decide to do manure instead of slurry on this map. I haven't quite made up my mind yet. We did start in farm manager mode. We've got exactly the amount of money that we started with. I didn't cheat any money in or anything like that, so this is going to be a fair playthrough, and something that I've kind of always wanted to do, which is maybe start carrying my finances through from game to game, selling off equipment as I move to maps and different things. So we may think about how we better kind of persist our progress through Farm Sim 22. We did have a Let's Play series on the base game map back when the game first started, but I've been kind of in a weird state for the last few months with some personal life things going on, and so it'll be kind of fun, I think, to have this be our first, I'll say, serious series here on Farm Sim 22, where we're trying to play the game the right way and have a lot of fun. Now, I'm really hoping that once we get this field opened up, that I'm going to be able to at least leverage a worker on some of these longer rows. We might need to figure out how to get things squared off and straightened out, but I believe we've got some level of additional multi-terrain angle on the map here. I can't recall for sure. That's something we'll find out once we start using the workers here, though. But for our purposes, we're going to go ahead and finish opening up this headland here and check back in with you as we get around onto the other end. So as we come up here on this divide in the field here, I think this is like a waterway or something, or maybe it's just that the field has been divided up into sections. We're gonna follow this section down because I think it goes all the way down the length of the field here, and this will be a good spot for us to probably be able to get a worker going up and down the long way on this big field and break it up into a few sections. This will help us out a little bit, I think, so that we're able to get in here with the gravity wagon and start emptying the combine. If I tried to go all the way around this big section, I think we'd get full long before we got to the end here. Maybe not. I mean, these oats aren't bringing in a ton of volume, but I would like to kind of get into some of the other equipment and keep things moving here. So that's what we're gonna do. Plus, I think this is gonna just work out the best with our workers in general. A farm like this, even though we're a small farm, we're gonna need a little bit of help. I don't have course play installed at the moment. I kind of forgot to put that on here, so that would have been a perfect mod to use in this situation, because I think that course play probably would have been smart enough to figure out how to go around these different sections. I'm not sure. that's something that we'll need to test. So I'll definitely be getting course play set up on this save here in the near future to try that out and see how it's going to handle some of the more interestingly shaped fields on this game. You can see here as we're getting to the corner that there is indeed another grass strip that goes sideways, so we're going to go ahead and lift up here and take this around the corner. This is going to get us right back to exactly where we started out, which will be convenient. We may have to take a few passes off on the headland here to give us enough room to be turning around here with the harvester, but that's okay. We've got plenty of space, and these other sections are nice and straight. If we clean up some of the area by these big bushes, I think we'll be able to get the harvester going back and forth on those sections as well. So I'm encouraged that this field at least is going to be worker friendly, even if we're going to do it in a few different sections. I think what we'll do is go ahead and just clean up the headland a little bit here, maybe take a few rounds off. This is a fairly narrow header, and so I think we're going to need more than 2. I'll probably take a full 4 passes off here, 2 rounds. That'll work out pretty nicely, I think. Give us plenty of room for turning around here. You can see here our header is at a fairly steep angle. The side hill combine itself leans a little bit as well, which is pretty awesome. That's what makes it such a great fit for this particular map. I think we're going to take a little bit more off right here just so that I'm not constantly running into it. So I'll get turned around here and we'll show off just how awesome this is. So if you notice here, the wheels and the cab of the combine are leveling out. So my combine cab is actually level, or closer to level than it would be normally, and our header is tipping to follow the ground here and stay nice and flat along in the ground, which is important when you're running a cutter like this. So I'm super impressed with this combine. This comes from Tired Iron Modding. He's actually one of the guys working with MB Farms on the Westby map. He has put out a number of the pieces of equipment that we're going to be using in this series. So a lot of older John Deere equipment has been released, and it's going to be a perfect fit for our farm here. So I've been really enjoying using this thing. I think as long as we're at the end here, I'm going to dump this into our gravity wagon. Now, this combine has what I'll say is probably a more realistic work speed. We're only going 4 miles an hour, I think, right now for harvesting, and the unload speed on this auger is not the fastest, but probably somewhat realistic for the age of this machinery. There we go. We've got a little bit into that grain cart there, and we should probably clean up this little bit so that I don't end up running any more of it over as we're coming in and out of the field here. It's a little bit of an awkward, scraggly bit, so away it goes. I'm not too worried about it. We'll just we'll take this all the way up to where we're going as long as we're here. No sense driving around without the combine going. We're gonna have to harvest all of this eventually here. Well, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get going on the up and down rows. So my hope is that I can kind of square this field off. I don't have GPS on any of my equipment right now, partially because I didn't expect to get a field that had a decent amount of straight lines to be driven, and also not super realistic for the era of machinery that most of my stuff is, although I do have some stuff that would probably be more late 80s, maybe even early 90s, compared to something like this, which I think would be in the 70s. So we can probably get away with GPS at some point in some of this equipment, but I figured starting out here this first season or so, we'd do things the old-fashioned way and have a little bit of fun on this map. So I do have a worker going here, and we're squaring off the part that I drove that was a little bit squirrely here, so a little bit of an inefficient pass, but I'm gonna let the worker go along here, do its thing. We've headed back up here to grab the tractor and grain cart. I think we're gonna run up here and try it and see if we're able to unload on the go on the drive back down the field here, just to see if it's possible. This 4240 is pulling this gravity wagon like a champ, at least while it's empty here, although you can see we're really pulling up that hill. So I'm loving the hills. I'm loving the slightly older equipment here where we're having to take our time and think a little bit more about stuff. We're using the gears still. I'm loving the manual transmission options in Farm Sim 22. And so we're going to keep using that, even if it is a small hassle from time to time. And I'm just realizing we didn't take a lot of headland passes off on this end here. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here and see if I can help this guy out before he gets too far. I'm going to just take this section off at the end of the field here, give me plenty of room for turning around. Without getting into the ditch or these bushes or anything like that. That'd just be an absolute disaster. All right, this should be enough space for us to get turning around here. I'm gonna go ahead and send this guy back down the length of the field now. We'll let the worker do her thing, and I'm gonna jump back in this 4240 and see if we can unload on the go here. Now I do have these extensions on, so our gravity wagon gets to be a little bit tall. See if I can find a good gear to match speed. Oh, we're clipping the auger just a smidge there. We'll have to be a little bit more careful next time, but there we go. We've matched the combine speed, so let's pull it up here a little bit. Don't want to lose any grain out the front. And just like that, we've emptied what's in the hopper of the combine. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up to the yard. We're nowhere near full yet, but I always like to make sure everything is good and going with the farm when we first get started on both a new map and our first harvest. It feels like things always go wrong when you're first trying to get started. Either equipment's broke down or who knows what's going on. So this will be a good time. We've got a little bit of wait while the combine makes a round here before we can unload again anyway. And so this is going to be a perfect opportunity to test our unload point. Now, the way that things are set up there, I think it's going to be easiest if we circle around and end up right next to that auger. So that's what we're going to do. We do have, I believe, a 4040 on the auger here. We'll check in a second. I can't recall now, actually. We spent a lot of time setting things up. I do have to turn my HUD back on to see where the fill point is. We do have to get pretty close here, but we're going to be putting our oats into this first bin. And this is indeed a 4040 with a nice John Deere front loader attachment on it. And that's running the auger for us. So we better jump in here and fire up the auger. You can see it's loading into the bin now that we've fired it up. And if I come over here, look at that. We've got 3,600 liters of oats already in that bin. Good deal. Make sure we turn off the auger tractor here. We probably could have dumped that bucket off somewhere, but that's all right. And let's go ahead and get this gravity wagon back up into the fields. Now this combine doesn't go particularly fast, so I'm not too worried about it getting ahead of me because it's not bringing in that much yield doing the oats here. We've got plenty of time to bring this thing up to the other end of the field and unload on the way back down. Looks like we've got plenty of room on the headlands here. The traffic's gonna stop and watch. I would probably pull over and watch a nice old tractor like this running around in the field, a combine and such. Just the neighbors being nosy, checking out what we're doing. And we'll go ahead and unload on the go here on the way back down the field. Just to make sure we're optimizing the combine driver's time. We want to make sure she's getting as much harvesting done today as possible. Looks like the tank is empty, so we're going to go ahead and zip on back here to the farm. We've got, I don't know, a half a hopper here. I guess technically we could pull this back up here to the other end and wait until she makes another round. If we turn the HUD back on here, you can see I said a half a hopper. We're only at 11%. The bottom of this is actually pretty small. It doesn't hold a lot with the angle there in the gravity wagon. So most of the volume for the gravity wagon is going to be up on the top. We've got a ways to go before we actually need to head all the way up to the silo. So we might as well let the combine driver make another round. I'm going to go ahead and park up here. I think we're out of the way. And this is going to be an excellent place to wrap up our first episode. We will be trying to post more frequently now. We'll be doing some nice short, hopefully somewhere between 12 and 18-minute videos here. And my goal is going to be to get a few of these cranked out at a time and post maybe not daily, but on a very regular basis. So let me know what you think of this series. Make sure to head over and drop a like to MB Farms and Tired Iron Modding. I'll have their links in the description of the video. That's all for today. Kedurk out. Yeah, we didn't talk about this during the episode. If you thought I was going to do pull behind silage again, you're crazy.